She is energy. She is the divine power of creation. She is the fire within, the pure wisdom of consciousness. She is the girl next door. She is the dancer in a stage. She is the artist writing his next song. She is the lady saying no to her abuser. She is the hugs and warmth of nature. She is the disruptive force of rebellion. She is the passion of life. She is the rage of Kali. She is the purity of the Mother Mary. She is the ambition to thrive. She hugs us in darkness. But ultimately, she is you. She is me. She is us. Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Nia, and in today's video I want to talk about the Divine Mother and the Divine Feminine. Many times we hear the word Divine Feminine, especially right now in the spiritual community, or to be honest, in the world at large. If you remember from my last year prediction, the world prediction where I channeled Ray, and by the way, I have a podcast. If you guys don't know me, I am able to channel an angelic group called Ray. I even have a book that I wrote, more than one actually, that I wrote thanks to this angel. And back in my channel Nia Visions, in this prediction, Ray stated that the Divine Feminine, the Divine Mother, was going to rise, especially in the year 2021. And I think that is visible throughout the world, that the Divine Mother, the aspect of God, of Creator that is feminine, it's rising exponentially in today's living and in today's society. And even the way that we perceive creation and source with the law of attraction, with spirituality at large, is a worship of the aspect of the Divine Mother. But who is exactly the Divine Mother, and why we are worshiping the feminine aspect? Many times in the spiritual community, like I said, we hear this word Divine Feminine, and even though I feel that it's being misused and doesn't have really a spiritual connotation, we can see that the Divine Feminine is being used by many women and men around the spiritual community to empower other women, to empower feminine aspect. But I just want to make this video in order to state who is the Divine Mother on a spiritual consciousness, who is the Divine Mother on a spiritual perspective. The Divine Feminine and the Divine Mother doesn't mean showing your naked body or being sexy or sensual or showing pictures on Instagram of femininity or things like that. Even though there is nothing wrong with these aspects of femininity, especially if they are addressed to empower women, but I feel that there are also other parts of women and men who might not resonate with this femininity and might be completely different. And so they might be wondering, but what does it mean then to worship the Divine Mother? What does it mean exactly to be a Divine Feminine? Does it mean that I have to necessarily show my skin? Does it mean I have to be an empowered woman and hate other men, and masculinity is all about suppression? Well, on a spiritual level, none of these things actually matters, because when we are addressing Divine Feminine and Divine Masculine, we're truly addressing parts of us as well as part of God. If you could close your eyes right now and just go into your stillness, into a meditative space where the voice of your intuition is always speaking in a subtle yet still way, you will notice a great consciousness and dimension of wisdom where nothing seems to take place because everything is eternal. And many of you who are familiar with meditation know this space of stillness that I talk thoroughly about in all my videos as well as e-courses. Well, that place, that space where there is no space and time of stillness, is actually the Father, is actually the figure of Shiv, is a dimension of consciousness, of meditation, of pure stillness, silence, and deep wisdom. That is masculinity. Masculinity, it's not about action and mental activity necessarily or logical activity. Shiv in Hinduism, but many other gods we can even call on Christ consciousness, is the presence of the Divine Father on earth, is the ultimate meditator, is the ultimate space of consciousness in which consciousness finally creates. But with the Father in it of itself, it remains an eternal place of potential. It doesn't get fertilized with creation itself. But if you could open your eyes and finally snap out of meditation and look around at the vastity, the beauty, the kindness, the artistry of nature at large, you will actually witness the work of the Divine Mother. Shakti in Sanskrit means energy. The Divine Mother is the fertility of creation. The Divine Mother is there always, even to the worst sinners. She is the compassionate mother that always hugs us all. She is the fierce force of nature when humans are disrupting her. And she is the compassionate and forgiving love of consciousness. The Divine Mother is not just an aspect of femininity, but is the aspect of femininity of Creator. And worshipping the Divine Mother is something intuitive, natural, and is an act of devotion. And this is the reason why on this channel I dedicated an entire video about devotion and doing daily acts of devotion as the first tip for witches or alchemists out there. Sometimes for the majority of people, considering that we are living in a fast-paced society, going into deep state of meditation, which are more inherently masculine in energy, is quite difficult. But by following love and by worshiping the aspect of compassion, love, and creation and the beauty of nature, we can connect to the Divine Mother. And just like a mother busy in his creation, the child sometimes has to, pray to her and knock on her shoulder multiple times before she listens. But then she always replies and she always listens. Worshipping the Divine Mother is the most natural act for a human being because it's about worshipping creativity within ourselves. And by remaining in awe of the work of nature, we are worshipping and devoting ourselves to the Divine Mother. An Ascended Master that has talked thoroughly about the power of the Divine Mother are actually two. One is Yogananda with the autobiography of a yogi and many of his other scripture, as well as Aurobindo and the work of the Mother. So if you guys want to understand better and more deeply the spiritual concepts, I highly suggest you to look at the work of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, as well as Yogananda. For sure, Yogananda will be a much more intuitive read, especially if you guys are beginners. But if you feel more intellectual and more advanced, I definitely highly suggest you to read Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. And especially the work of the Mother herself, because they are also very intuitive. So when we have to understand these aspects of creation and these aspects of God, we cannot understand them by our limited human perspective. And even though sometimes we do need labels in order to understand the spiritual concept, in order to understand the Divine Mother, we have to see beyond the visible. We have to close our mind and see the unconceivable. She is an unconceivable energy for the mind. She is indeed not logical. She is not about taking action, but she is the energy that fertilizes the space of potentiality in God. And when you understand the love and compassion of the Divine Mother, you understand the infinite aspect of Creator. And also, you do understand and embrace the Divine Mother by embracing your heart, by embracing love within. If you want to connect with femininity and you want to connect with the Divine Mother today, the only one way to do it is by following love. And this is the reason why I end up all my videos, especially on my channel Neya Visions, you're never wrong if you follow love. Your home is where your heart is. And it's only through an act of devotion, of love, of selfness that you will encounter the Divine Mother. So even though I feel that many people want to label femininity in a certain way, the reality of the story is that wherever you see God, you see it everywhere. You're only seeing what you're looking for. And so the Divine Mother is the sex worker. The Divine Mother is the child that is being abused and finally raised up to say no. The Divine Mother is the sinner. The Divine Mother is the grace and beauty of a model. The Divine Mother is you with your insecurity, hugging you and telling you that everything will be all right. The Divine Mother are the animals and their endless flow in nature. They are the clouds, the birds, the trees, the imperfection and perfection of nature, the force and fierceness of anger of nature, the tornadoes, the sands. Everything that you look around and you look within yourself is the Divine Mother. And how can you really pinpoint in only one label who is the Divine Mother? Understanding and getting to know the Divine Feminine is an endless process of transcendence within. But through the act of just pure love, unlimited love, you can know who is the Divine Feminine. And in this sense, she is allowance, because she is not trying to control creation, but she's only trying to create. So by understanding this concept, which can only be fulfilling and truly understood only through the experience of devotion to the Divine Mother, we can really see why right now on this planet the Divine Feminine is rising. There is no shadow of a doubt that femininity is being suppressed, but it's not being suppressed because masculinity is wrong or because we have lived necessarily in a masculine oriented society, meaning in a divine masculine society. We have lived in an imbalanced society where the feminine was imbalanced and suppressed, and at the same time masculinity was used to suppress the femininity. Again, Shiv is not a suppressor. The Divine Masculine is a place of stillness. And even if you know a little bit more the legends of Hinduism and the story, Shiv barely ever reacts, even though he is considered the destroyer. But he only has the potential to destroy, and in certain circumstances and legends, we do see his rage. But his rage, therefore his action, is seen by the extension of himself, where he takes his hair out and he pulls them out and creates Kali, which is yet again another form of Shakti, meaning energy, and therefore the disruptive force of creation. So in this sense, we are always seeing masculinity as the dimension of consciousness where potentiality and stillness are. And so when we see balanced masculine in the form of a human being within yourself as well as other individuals, we do see people that are not reactive. They're meditator, they are balanced. They are surely providers in a sense, but they don't do it in a reactive action oriented way. They do it in an intuition inspired way, if that makes any sense. And when we see balanced femininity within us as well as other people, we do see the forces of creation. And because creativity is such an embodiment of the Divine Mother, we see beauty in the world when we see femininity. So it's not just about standing still and allowing, as that is masculine, but it is about actually energy, taking action, feeling the fire. And in this sense, yes, sensuality, a sensuality that is balanced in the beauty of God, in the beauty of creation. These two forces are not and never will be separate, as separation doesn't exist in the mind of God. And it's only through a space that gets fertilized with energy that creation can spark and exist and begin. So I feel that it's beautiful when women empower our other women in this sense, using divine feminine, connotation. But I feel that on a spiritual level, it's very important to understand who really the Divine Mother is and how we can find the Divine Mother today. So how can you find the Divine Mother today? By acts of devotion, compassion, kindness, and gentleness. You can be whoever you want to be. If you want to be the girl that shows and you're beautiful and you want to show your pictures naked in bikini or whatever, and you feel that for you is sensuality, you are the Divine Mother. Instead, if you feel like you're the shy guy or the shy girl and you're all about, I want to go deeper into other subject, I want to show myself in a different way, this is my creativity. You are the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is your heart space. And every time that you act with your heart and you follow love, you are worshiping the Divine Mother and you're worshiping femininity. And this is the reason why femininity is rising on this planet, because we need more love, we need more harmony, we need more beauty, we need more creativity, which ultimately will result in a world of hope, of dreams being fulfilled, of the impossible made possible, because this is what Shakti does. She's the essence of abundance. She makes us see God in nature and the work of God in nature. And then when we are going to go back to Creator on the other side, we are going to be like, oh, I don't like what I saw majority of my life. There was so much horror and so many beautiful things, but oh my God. And the Father and Creator will reply to you, my sweet, sweet child, like Jesus once said, be in the world, be in the womb of the mother, but not of that world. And it's only in this way, by being in the world, but not of the world, that you are affirming the realm of the Divine Mother in the world. And this is the reason why the Divine Mother is rising and will rise in today's society. And so I call you guys today to make your divine feminine rise. How can you be more compassionate? How can you be more forgiving? How can you be more creative? How can you pray to her by watching nature, not just by meditating? How can you feel love today? What love means to you? Where love is? By doing that, by answering these questions, you are worshiping the Divine Mother, and the Divine Mother will rise, because the Divine Mother is you, the Divine Mother is me, the Divine Mother is us. It's the heart of creation. So thank you so much for sticking around to this video. I just wanted to give you my humble contribution in the connotation, meaning, and more in-depth, understanding of what is the Divine Mother, and I leave you with your interpretation of the Divine Mother by being in an act of prayer and devotion to her today. Leave the comment down below and let me know who is for you the Divine Mother by looking at nature at large. And I see you guys later in another of my videos here on Iradia Alchemy, as well as Naya Visions. Bye!